What if the problem is not how much money you make, but what you do with it? Think about that for a second. Because there are people right now earning more than they ever imagined and still feeling stuck, tired, and financially insecure. And at the same time, there are others earning less, but building a future, creating stability, and moving closer to freedom. So what's the difference? It's not luck. It's not talent. And it's definitely not just income. It's strategy. Let's talk about something real. There are people who leave their country, their family, their comfort to chase better opportunities. They go somewhere new, work long hours, sometimes in jobs that demand physical effort, sometimes under pressure, stress, and uncertainty. They sacrifice time, they sacrifice health, they sacrifice moments that they'll never get back. And yes, they make money. But then something happens. Years go by. And when they look back, they realize that the money didn't build the life they expected. Some return home exhausted. Some return with health problems. Some return with savings. But no structure, no plan, no growth. And slowly that money disappears. Not because they were careless, but because they were never taught what to do next. Now here's the important part. This is not just about people who move abroad. This happens everywhere. There are people who stay in their own country, who wake up every day, who work hard, who earn consistently, and still, at the end of the month, there's nothing left. Money comes in, money goes out, again and again and again. No progress, no growth, no future being built, just survival. And this creates a dangerous cycle. You start believing that. I just need to earn more. So you push harder. You work more hours. You take on more responsibility. But your lifestyle grows with your income. Your expenses increase, your standards rise, your spending follows your earnings, and suddenly you're making more money than before. But nothing has changed. You're still stuck. Now let me tell you something that might change everything for you. If you already have a source of income, you are not starting from zero. Read that again. If you have a job, a business, a hotel, clients, or any consistent way of making money, you are already in a powerful position. But most people don't see it that way. They think the answer is more work, more effort, more stress. But the real answer is better. Better decisions, better structure, better use of what you already have. Because financial freedom is not something that magically appears one day. It's not something you arrive at. It's something you build step by step, decision by decision, and most importantly, day by day. Think of it like planting a tree. The best time to plant it was years ago. The second best time? Today. So let's get practical. If you want to stop working just to survive and start building a life where money supports you, you need a system. Not motivation, not luck. A system. The first step is simple, but most people avoid it. You need to know exactly where your money is going. Not approximately, not more or less, exactly. Because if you don't control your money will control you. Right now, there are people working hard every day, and they have no idea how much they spend on unnecessary things. Small expenses and repeated over time become big losses, subscriptions you don't use, impulse purchases, lifestyle habits that feel normal but cost you your future. And the problem is not spending, the problem is unconscious spending. When you become aware of your money, something changes. You stop reacting and start deciding. You begin to see patterns. You notice what adds value and what just drains your resources. And that awareness alone can already create change. The second step is creating margin. This is where most people get uncomfortable because they think saving money means sacrificing everything. But that's not true. It's not about cutting your life. It's about adjusting your priorities. Even saving a small percentage consistently can completely change your future. 10%, 5%, even 3% to start. What matters is consistency, because saving is not about the amount, it's about the habit. When you save regularly, you send a message to yourself, I am building something. You stop living only for today and start respecting your future. And that changes how you think, how you act, and how you make decisions. Now here's where things start to evolve. Most people see income as something to spend, but what if you saw it as a tool? If you have a hotel, for example, that income is not just for paying bills. It's a machine. And your job is to make that machine stronger, more efficient, more profitable, more valuable. Ask yourself, how can this income create more income? Maybe that means improving your service to increase your prices. Maybe that means optimizing your operations to reduce costs. Maybe that means creating new offers, new experiences, new ways to generate revenue. Or maybe it means taking part of that profit and using it to build something outside of your hotel. Because depending on only one source of you, it is always a risk. The goal is not just to work in your business, but to use your business as a foundation for your future. And this is where most people stop. But this is also where everything starts to change. Because once you have control, once you create margin, and once you start thinking beyond your current income, there's one step that separates those who stay stuck from those who build real freedom. So now you have control. You're saving. You're thinking beyond just earning and spending. Now comes the step that changes everything, turning money into more money. This is where many people feel excited, but also where many people make mistakes. Because investing sounds simple, but in reality, it requires knowledge, discipline, and strategy. And here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear. Trying to do everything alone can cost you a lot more than asking for help. A lot of people jump into investing without preparation. They follow trends, they listen to random advice, they chase quick results, and sometimes they win, but many times they lose. Not because investing doesn't work, but because they entered without understanding the game. And this is where you need to make a smart decision. You have two paths. You can invest time and deeply learn how money works, how markets move, how risk is managed, or you can invest money and learn from someone who already understands the path. For many people, working with an advisor or a financial professional is not an expense. It's protection, it's clarity, it's direction. Because a good advisor doesn't just tell you where to put your money. They help you avoid mistakes that could cost you years of progress. Yes, you will pay for it. But think about this. How much does one bad decision cost? How much time does it take to recover from a loss? Sometimes paying for guidance is what prevents you from losing far more. Now, if you are someone who has time, discipline, and the willingness to study, you can absolutely learn to invest on your own. And that's powerful. But be honest with yourself. Don't let ego convince you that you know what you don't know yet. Because in the world of money, mistakes are expensive. Now let's talk about something that truly creates freedom. Assets. Assets are things that put money in your pocket, even when you are not working. And this is where your life begins to change. Most people spend their lives buying liabilities, things that take money out of their pocket. A bigger car, a more expensive lifestyle, things that look good but don't build anything. But people who think long term, they focus on assets. That could be a property that generates rental income, a business that runs without your constant presence, investments that grow over time, or even skills that allow you to create income in different ways. If you already have a hotel, you already understand something very important. Money can be generated through systems. Now imagine this. Instead of having only one system, you build 2, 3, 4 different sources of income, different streams, different opportunities. Because when you depend on only one source, you are always vulnerable. But when you build multiple sources, you create stability and eventually freedom. At this point, something deeper starts to happen. You are no longer just someone who works for money. You become someone who manages money, who grows money, who thinks long term. And that shift changes everything. Imagine waking up without pressure, without urgency, without needing to trade your time for survival. Not because you stopped working, but because you chose how to work. Because your income no longer depends only on your effort. Compare that to the life we talked about earlier. Working nonstop, feeling tired, chasing more, without building anything. That cycle doesn't break by accident. It breaks by decision. And let's be clear about something. This is not fast. This is not easy. This is not a get-rich-quick plan. This is a process. There will be moments of doubt, moments where it feels slow, moments where you question if it's worth it. But every step you take is building something invisible at first and powerful over time. Because the goal is not just to make money. The goal is to create a life where money is no longer a constant concern. So here's what matters. Start now. Not when you feel ready, not when everything is perfect. Now, start paying attention to your money. Start creating space. Start thinking long term. Start planting. Because the future you dream about will not be built by chance. It will be built by the decisions you make today. And one day, you will look back and realize it wasn't about working more. It was about working smarter and building something that lasts.